Yeah. Yeah. I was just talking off air to Matt O'Leary. He'll be joining us here after the intro. And Jet fans today are going to see each other at the hallways at work, in the streets. It'll just be a silent head nod looking at each other. And we all know what's up. We're going to be talking about quarterback replacement options for Zach Wilson. The Jets aren't ready to hit the button, but we sure are. Let's roll. Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field Gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor Gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Oh, God. Welcome to Boy Green Friggin' Daily. I'm Paul Leston Jr., and I have, committed to a daily video program every single day, regardless of result, here on the show. We're streaming live on Facebook page, YouTube, and Twitter. On Facebook, 38,000. Our numbers have increased, so thank you to the unwavering support. We appreciate it. 38,000 New York Jet fans. YouTube.com/BoyGreen25 and Twitter as well, @BoyGreen25. I'm just laughing for lack of another emotion because the great Michael Nania is sharing on Twitter some of the all-22 of some of the Zach Wilson misses. And I saw a few of them live, but just revisiting them is quite an emotion on a Monday. And every Monday we have Matt O'Leary on for some alliteration. Matt Mondays, Monday Matt. Matt on the show. Matt.
Tough one today, Boy Green. I don't know if I have it in me to relive the all 22, but I know it's coming because there's still more to react to from this game before we get into Chiefs week, which looks that much more daunting after this game.
Yeah, and if we're to take Robert Saleh at his word, or multiple words rather, so after the game, he totally so there's two quarterbacks on the roster. Let's start there, and then we'll kind of work our way through. There's two quarterbacks on the roster, Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle. Robert Saleh, almost disgustingly, Tim Boyle. Hell no, he's not getting any first-team reps in practice. He said that very bluntly, like there is a negative % chance that'll happen, which then obviously only leaves Zach Wilson. And then he said multiple times that he believes Zach Wilson is the best guy. And then he paused. And then he just said, he gives us our best chance to win. There's a very weird way he worded that yesterday, but nonetheless, he continued to reiterate the belief in Zach Wilson. And then he said, that's not even a question when Zach Rosenblatt asked, hey, has he done enough to show you he's QB1? And he went, that's not even a question. So, the Zach Wilson train will continue at least through Sunday Night Football because it seems unlikely, we're speaking here on a Monday live in the morning, that they could be able to bring in a guy that could learn the playbook within 6 days. That doesn't seem very realistic. And then he would, in theory, be randomly inserted into the lineup. So that seems unlikely. So it is the Zach Wilson train. And, I know there's some Zach Wilson truthers out there. And I thought I prided myself on being one for a long time, but there was the Jaguars game last year, and I'm jumping off the train a lot sooner this time. Man, I can't hear from the coaching staff and Zach Wilson that it's different, and that makes me want to believe. And then when we get to actual game action, it's just not happening. Now, I will say we got a comment in here. Let's show this up on the board from Raleigh. Why is it when we go no huddle and we get some results and then never use it again? Yeah, that's the thing. In my opinion, Matt, the best Zach Wilson has ever looked is when he's running no huddle action. It was the end of the Cowboys' first half. He just looked smooth. He looked like, okay, let's not huddle. We're just like, let's get to action. The end of this Patriots game, obviously. Okay, there he is. And there's a few Buffalo spurts as well. If that's what works, then shit, Nathaniel Hackett, let's just start running no huddle. I mean, what other choice do we have? The slow, methodic, snail-like pace at the beginning of games that's like training wheels conservative, and you're allowing these other teams to get up on you before you go, wait a second, let's make an adjustment. It's just that part's pretty frustrating.
No, it definitely is. And look, Nathaniel Hackett definitely hasn't been perfect. I don't think he called a great game yesterday against the New England Patriots. And you have definitely some personnel question marks, but I can't do the what ifs or the well, what about this when talking about Zach when there are open receivers that he is just not seeing. And I get it. I'm not saying Rolling is wrong for pointing that out. I just can't
Yeah.
bring myself to go to those other alternatives when the quarterback play was just that bad yesterday. When, as mentioned, you have clean pockets and you're just not seeing guys. As you mentioned, same things we saw last year, same things through the first 2 years. You wanted to believe that things were going to be a little bit different. Don't think he was that terrible against Dallas, but he was pretty freaking terrible against New England yesterday.
Yeah, and maybe this has always happened, so maybe I'm just a bad Twitter/X user. But yesterday, I noticed for the first time ever, Jets legend, Pro Football Hall of Famer Joe Namath, just going buck wild like a Jets fan on social media, going, "Oh, what are we doing? Throwing short of the sticks? Oh, like now we got to start looking at the coaching and the general manager if things don't get better." Like, wow, Joe Namath was just in his bag yesterday. Which again, maybe that happens all the time, and you guys will be like, "Yeah, that's Joe." But like, man, it just seemed like that's the most frustrated I've ever seen Joe Namath on social media, watching a game, firing off tweets left and right, like nobody's business. So the frustration is mounting, and golly, God. So I thought I'll admit a wrong here, Mr. Matthew O'Leary. This offseason, obviously, the Jets decided that Zach Wilson is QB2, and they're not bringing in anybody else. And I said to myself, you know what? The Jets must see something that I don't. Benefit in the doubt the coaching staff. And I know a lot of people were reaming them in the offseason for not bringing in a proven veteran and all these other things. So, number one, Aaron Rodgers played 81 of 82 games since 2018. So he's been incredibly durable. And number two, they seem to believe in Zach Wilson. There seemed to be a unique relationship that wouldn't have existed with Derek Carr, wouldn't have existed with Jimmy Garoppolo, and you would have had to get rid of Zach Wilson in either of those other two scenarios because it just wouldn't have worked because of the age gap and your fake belief. Oh, no, you'll get a chance in a few years. He would look at the ages of 31, say, there's no chance and I'm getting another opportunity. And he probably would have requested a trade a la Trey Lance in that situation. So I gave the faith to the Jets that, you know what, they see something and they believe if Aaron Rodgers were to go down, he will be fine. He will make this leap because of all these things, and it hasn't happened. So I admit my L here in week 3 as we will be transitioning to week 4 starting on tomorrow's show that I just missaw it, and I had blind faith, which I know a lot of fans have. They need to bring somebody in as quickly as possible. Now, the options aren't sexy, and that brings us to our theme of the show, ranking the best Jets quarterback replacement options here on September 25th. And apparently, two names that came out were Carson Wentz, a.k.a. Jake Asman, or Matt Ryan as potential options that reached out to the Jets, said, hey, here are our services. And the Jets apparently told them no. Do either of those titillate the senses for you, Matthew O'Leary? And by the way, look what we're talking about here on September 25th. Not great.
That hurts my soul that this is where we are right now. But not that there are these fantastic, phenomenal options, but it's very difficult for it to get worse, Paul. Like, I don't know what else we could possibly do. We've seen Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan operate an offense for all their flaws. I have significantly more faith that they will be able to operate an offense. And for me, it really goes down to, and it was something that you were saying too, that, they wanted Zach Wilson as QB2 and they had faith. And I get it. I understood that, but there's no reason that on September 12th, the day after Aaron Rodgers goes down for the season, that you don't get another quarterback in here. It's unserious to have a quarterback room for multiple weeks of Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle. And you needed that veteran because if things went off the rails or if Zach Wilson got hurt, it's very obvious they don't trust Tim Boyle. So even just for the absolute minimum of getting a guy back here for in case of emergency, and they didn't do it for 2 weeks. And I think that's hurting them because you would have had someone who you could potentially turn to at this point after a couple of weeks. But yeah, I don't either one. Pick out of a hat. I don't care. If Matt Ryan or Carson Wentz. It doesn't matter to me. Just pick one. Whichever one answers the phone first, I guess, gets the job.
Wow, Matt, I wish you were part of my brainstorming sessions when I'm coming up with these polls, because that is a phenomenal fourth option that I did not put on this. Pick a name out of a hat. Either one would work. That's phenomenal. I'll throw this up on the screen, but before I do want to, tip the cap to the point you just made. So even if you thought, because this is obviously what the Jets thought, because they were very upfront about it, that bringing in a name like Matt Ryan or Carson Wentz, we're just using those as the examples because that was the report yesterday. But if you bring in one of those guys that it could ruffle the feathers of Zach Wilson, that you say you believe in him, but you bring in this big name, so you did it for his feelings, and now we're 2 weeks later for that decision. And now if you bring them in, they're 2 weeks behind on what could have been learning the playbook. But to your point, even if they believe that, which I think they did with the feelings thing, what if he gets hurt? You clearly don't trust Tim Boyle. So, like, at a bare minimum for an injury risk to supply yourself, and apparently both these guys called you to say, hey, here we are. Interested? At a minimum, you probably could have even put them on the practice squad because no one else was signing them, just to learn the playbook and kick the quarterback roster decision down the road. Because again, with the new practice squad rules, you could bring on 100-year-old as far as they're concerned. It's not just young guys anymore with service time in the first couple of years. So that's a struggle. All right, let's throw up the poll. Which again, on editing second review, I would have loved to add that fourth option. That is phenomenal from Matthew O'Leary. That's why I guess he's got all those wonderful followers and subscribers. Here's the question. Reportedly, if you guys missed it, Jay Glazer, NFL insider, and this is a pregame show I watched, so I jumped out of my seat when I saw this. Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz reached out to the Jets after the Aaron Rodgers injury and quote unquote offered their services at quarterback. The Jets apparently rejected them and just said, nah, we're good. But would you be interested in the Jets signing either? So vote for Matt Ryan, vote for Carson Wentz, or neither, stick with Zach Wilson. And 12.5% of the people said, hey, screw Wentz or Ryan. I am riding the Zach Wilson train until the wheels fall off. But most of the votes were 63.9% Carson Wentz, 23.6% Matt Ryan. Here's my take on both, although you, Matt, already put the caveat at the beginning. I think Matt Ryan's washed, and I think there's a reason that Carson Wentz has not been brought in because he's been, I don't know what the word is, but I guess I'll use it for lack of better terminology, some level of a locker room cancer, and he's been getting kicked out of these rooms over the last 3 years, so maybe that's why. So Wentz is the best option, youth, relatively speaking, wise, and everything else, and the connections to Joe Douglas and everything else, but none are great, and I think we're kind of admitting that at the beginning of this conversation, but those are my only concerns. Matt Ryan is a great class act, Boston College guy. He's been raved about for his locker room, and again, he handled being the backup. Who was that? Who stepped in? Who was the guy last year? Oh
Ritter?
My God, I can't even remember.
Oh, no, with the Colts.
Jeez. It was the young kid, Sam Ellinger, I think was the kid's name. And so he gets MVP. Matt Ryan gets benched for some rando named Sam Ellinger, and he could have thrown a fit. He could say, release me, I'm done. But he just was the tried and true teammate and just said, all right, this is my new role now. So he's a class act. I could speak highly on Matt Ryan. I can't on Carson Wentz because I don't know of that background of him. But those are the options. Those are what the people are saying. Are you surprised by any of the people's choices here?
No, not at all. I'm surprised the 12.5% stick with Zach.
Strong.
I guess I shouldn't be because you have those crazies in the comment section and on Twitter. But even if there's flaws with all these guys, right? Like there's a reason why they're still available. Colt McCoy is still available. Josh Johnson was on a practice squad and could be signed. Like there are other options that you could do, even if like it's not Matt Ryan or Carson Wentz. But again, as we kind of said at the top, I have a really hard time believing that either one of Carson Wentz or Matt Ryan are going to be significantly worse than what we've seen right now through a few games with Zach Wilson.
Hey, let me piss you off, Matt. I want to start your Monday off strong, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
This came out last night. So this is hours. So the game was at 1. hey, it was nice to be there. The old elite dad o'clock time. It was nice to be back there. Won't be there this week. Sunday Night Football for the first time in a decade. That'll be interesting. Putting that aside for a second. So this had been a handful of hours. This was after the game. Okay, this post I'm about to make. This is after the game or halftime when I tweeted this, and then he reset it after the game. This is Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk, the Sunday Night Football Show. He said the Jets are going to stay with Zach Wilson, despite everything we just said, because, quote, they have no other options. They are hoping, this is like now paraphrasing, the Jets are hoping that the defense could just be perfect and the team around them can be really good, rock solid, and they're going to ride out with that. That is what Mike Florio said on a national television show. And when Mike talks like this, sometimes he's giving opinion, but it sure sounded like, and to the Matt Ryan Carson Wentz rumor specifically, said that's not happening. So again, maybe it was opinion, and sometimes it's hard to paint the line with these kind of guys who have their own shows, but they're also reporting on shows, so you could determine that where you will. It sounded like he had some informed knowledge on this when he said these things, and that's a little scary, because if that's truly how the Jets believe, and that's a weird thing to just say as opinion, yikes. So hopefully that didn't piss you off too bad, Matt, but that was the chatter late last night.
It's stupid. Then Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are good with going down with the ship. Like, I don't know. We already saw signs of frustration from this team, and I'm not blaming them. Garrett Wilson was frustrated on the sideline. Michael Carter was frustrated on the sideline, and both of them said after the game, it's not personal. They just are these hyper competitive guys that all they want to do is win, and they don't have a chance. The defense. I can't read another tweet criticizing this defense for yesterday, which I somehow saw. They allowed 13 points.
A lot of posts. Yeah.
Right. You got to win the game. If you're allowing 13 points, they did their job. They did their job time after time after time again. It's on the offense. It is on the quarterback. I don't know what else we're doing here. And again, if the Jets are going to go down with this ship without any other sort of safety net, that is just so stupid.
Let me ask you, because this is where we get a little froggy. So Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson have a relationship, number one. Number two, Aaron Rodgers has committed to coming back next year. The regime that sold Aaron Rodgers on coming here in the first place is Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas. So some people I'm seeing screaming for the firing of Saleh or Douglas now or at some point after the season. Man, this seems like a very delicate situation, because if you did an overreactionary thing, and maybe it's not overreactionary, but if you did that and fired any one of those guys, and then Rodgers is spooked or ruffled feathers, goes, you know what, this is not the situation I signed up for. Screw you, Jets. I'm staying retired, or trade me, or God knows what. Like, are you worried at all about how that goes? Or screw all that. We just need to get a quarterback in here. And sorry, Aaron, I know you're friendly with Zach, but the tape's the tape. Like, this seems like a more complicated situation sometimes than it appears.
Yeah, I could understand the GM and the coach. I understand the frustration with some of the things that they've done, and I'm right there as well. But I don't think they would make that change because of Aaron Rodgers coming back, and this is kind of we haven't. It would be tough to pull the plug on that after not seeing it through, right? Because he didn't really
correct, right?
For snaps, but the backup quarterback, they have to give this team a chance. There's too much talent on this roster to just go, Zach stinks, but he's friends with Aaron Rodgers, so we're good with just running Zach out there. We'll have a 5-win season and lose the locker room for a second year in a row because of the quarterback play being so. That's not fair to the rest of this team. I'm not saying that they're going to be good enough to make the playoffs or do any sort of damage, but at least be able to evaluate the rest of your roster and your team with a competent quarterback. You're hamstringing the entire team by continuing to run this guy out there. In their first 9 possessions, they had 8 punts, Paul. Like, what are we doing? I don't know what it. Oh my God.
8 punts. That's 12. Okay. I think I got that math. So, Matt, because the title of this is ranking the best quarterback replacement options, I told you the ones that have been out there in the ethos. And maybe with your other answer, just pull a name out of a bag. But is there someone you want to stake your Matt O'Leary flag on to say, hey, let's figure out and go get insert? I mean, I did it last week on the show, although I said it would have had to have been a few weeks down the line, and now it's obviously extremely unlikely because of Derek Carr getting injured. I thought Jameis Winston, I don't know how many more wins the Jets get, but that would be incredibly fun because he just throws the ball around. He has a, don't give a shit attitude, and that would have maximized some assets like Garrett Wilson and others. But first off, backups are going to be hard to trade for in general. I said that a couple weeks ago because why would an NFL team hook up the Jets? Doesn't make any sense. And now with Derek Carr hurt, that certainly wouldn't happen. So whether it's backup or third string or someone available in the veteran free agent streets, who are you planting your flag on, Matt O'Leary?
Yeah, that's tough. Because you bring up a good point. Like Gardner Minshew and Jameis Winston were very popular options, and now I feel like that goes out the window with some of these quarterback injuries. Andy Dalton, another one. Not that the Panthers want to trade him, but just we're seeing backup quarterbacks having to come in and play because of injuries. But I like Jacoby Brissett a lot. That'd be someone that I'd be interested in. Well, like, what about Cooper Rush? The Dallas Cowboys just traded for Trey Lance. Like, if there's someone on the trade market who could be had, I feel like Cooper Rush would be one. So I guess those would be my two for possible trade options. And like, honestly, Colt McCoy, I would say as the free agent, which again, not necessarily a sexy option, right? But this is the bed that they made. They have to deal with it. And I think any one of those options we just listed off would be an upgrade over what they have right now in the quarterback room.
I see it in the comments section. A lot of people are throwing out Kirk Cousins. The Vikings are 0-3, so if you are a Jets fan, you want to continue to root for that. I don't think 0-3 is enough for the Vikings to blow up their whole plans. They haven't paid Justin Jefferson yet, so to blow up the quarterback and put in, they got some randos back there at quarterback, like some Nick Mullins kind of guys. So like waving the white flag to their Justin Jefferson, I don't think, again, they would have to be 0-6 or something by the trade deadline, 1-5. Like, it would have to be much worse for all the people that are going for Kirk Cousins. And I want to use that as a basis here to jump from. DFF 1234. I'm so dumb. I would like to know the truth. I'm not sure what truth you're seeking, but we'll try to continue to help. But thank you for the super chat. Nonetheless, I suppose. Anywho, Matt, what is the trade compensation you're willing to give up? Because here's the other part of the puzzle. The other teams, unfortunately, probably watch some part of the Jets game. Maybe they're not subject to watching all 60 minutes, but they know the Jets would be desperate for a quarterback. So every NFL team would try to bend them over the barrel and get a higher price of what the normal price would be. Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Sure.
So that complicates things. And they don't have their second round pick. And a first round pick seems pretty juicy, whether that would be this year with restrictions or 2025. So what are you willing to give up for any of these names? Even a Brissett, what would that cost? It seems that would still be pretty high.
Yeah, I don't want to give up. As you mentioned, they don't have a second round pick that's going to Green Bay in the Rodgers trade. I don't want to give up the first round pick because I think you need to continue to add to this roster to help out Aaron Rodgers when he's back next year. Like, it would almost be criminal if they don't take an offensive tackle with wherever they are picking with that first round draft selection. I guess, it depends on who it is, but for someone like a Jacoby Brissett, fourth round pick, I'd be willing to do it for a fourth, somewhere in that range. Maybe, the asking price gets even higher than that and it gets a little, crazy.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah,
I'm afraid of.
Exactly. I'm afraid of it too. And then if that's the case, then you just bite the bullet and sign one of the three guys that we mentioned, whether it's, McCoy, Wentz, or Ryan. Like, again, we're splitting hairs here over who they could bring in because every single one of these options we've discussed is a better option than what they currently have.
All right, last one here. Again, this is another thing on my bingo card, man. I'm going to be honest. I'm like, man, Matt O'Leary Mondays, this is going to be great. We're going to talk every Monday. This is going to be fun. I can't wait for some Matt O'Leary. This is going to be dandy, okay? You wonder what else I didn't have on my bingo card? Not tanking, necessarily. I've seen some of that already in the streets. That's disgusting. But the possibility of taking a quarterback in the first round, because here you are. Here's another effed up scenario. Obviously, Rodgers blew out his Achilles. He wants to come back. Okay, I want $1 million. I don't know if that's happening. He's going to be 40 years of age, and God knows what with all this. But again, give his doubts and everything else to him. If you're the Jets and you're in April, and you don't really know the status yet of Aaron Rodgers, do you take that offensive tackle, to your point, which is a clear need, and then hope Aaron Rodgers is ready for the season, Because then if he's not, maybe you do the veteran backup thing that they should have done in the first place. But a lot of people floated out, hey, a lot of quarterbacks in this draft, take one of those, but that could also piss off Aaron Rodgers. So, hey, yay.
Yeah, I don't take a quarterback in the first round
Okay.
unless you know that he's not coming back. Then and that is a completely different scenario. I think you would know by then. But if he's, if you go into free agency as, hey, Aaron Rodgers is the, QB1 for this team, I'm not opposed to drafting a quarterback at some point on, it's supposedly a deep quarterback class. I'm sure there's, you could find someone in the third plus round, wherever, and just add them and potentially develop them from there. But you need a tackle. Again, I think it'd be criminal if they came out of the first round without grabbing some offensive tackle to help out this offensive line. So I would not do it. And I am not in favor of tanking. This team needs to win games now. It's time. They have to put some wins out there.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that take. I am completely against taking. This roster's too damn talented. What a shame that would be to waste the years of Sauce Gardner cheap, Garrett Wilson cheap. That would be negligence, quite frankly, to go into that direction. So I am firmly against that. So we will see what they do. This will have to be another episode. There's just not enough time. And this had to be dedicated to solely quarterbacks. The offensive line mumbo jumbo of people jumping left, right, and up and down. Oh yeah, that happened. So which I think is good in the long run. But initially, when Dwayne Brown went down to, he's going to play on Sunday. Okay, he's out. Okay, he's out for a month. I'm like, whoa, what the avalanche hell just happened? But now that equated to Mekhi Becton left tackle, AVT right tackle. So the Jets, they're sneaky bastards. What about Robert Saleh? What a sneaky bastard. So he's asked during the week, hey, would you consider flipping Mekhi Becton? He's like, what? That'd be irresponsible to flip him last second. It wouldn't be last second because we already switched him, you bastards, the middle part of last week. Oh, I see. So he kind of just wordsmithed his way out of that one and then, straight up told us. So we'll see if that's better than long run. Again, the first day of action with 3 or 4 guys in brand new positions didn't exactly go swimmingly. So we'll dive into that later this week for the Jets Patriots stuff. But nonetheless, Matthew, thank you. I wasn't sure if you're going to show up today. I'm going to be honest. Not like a cast on your character or anything. Just like if you didn't, I would have been. I understand.
It was very hard to get out of bed this morning on a rainy Monday, staring at the ceiling, thinking about that god awful performance yesterday. But I said, I'm a man of obligation and I'm going to go out there and give it my all. Unlike this quarterback room for my guy, boy.
Wow, thank you. And we just have to say this, but as the Patriots logo is still there on a Monday, this is disgusting. 15 in a row. Where is your dignity? Where is your pride, man? This was a vulnerable 0-2 Patriots team that you've just given life, and I have Patriots people laughing at me because they're all throughout my family, and it's disgusting. And the Jets find another way to embarrass me and do these things. This is a long Boy Green Daily here, but I just have to say that freaking bothers me, man. And now they have life again. And I haven't double checked this, but apparently the Jets play the Patriots again in week 18. So now this is going to be hanging over our head for months.
Yeah. Yep. 15 straight. That's it.
Yeah. Tying, by the way, an NFL record for those who did not know. That is a active record as the Chiefs have beaten the Broncos 15 times. After the Dolphins just dropped 70 on them, I feel pretty confident that streak is going to continue whenever the hell they play them. So that's good to know. But I have no confidence that the Jets are going to be able to break this anytime before that either. So a pissing contest from game to game, I suppose. Nonetheless, Matt will be paying attention to your channel for all kinds of content. Jets always provide content, not necessarily anything else, but content they do. Thanks, brother.
Anytime. See you again next week.
And there he is. Boy Green Daily tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Everybody, please take care. We'll see you.